So today we are talking about introduction to Java API. As I mentioned, Java has already pre-developed a lot of uh, classes. They have developed already classes for us, which is useful for the programmers, so that programmers can job will be simplified by writing these generic classes. Whenever you need, we can use those classes. They have developed classes. It is like a tool. It is like a tool. You can think that. From the Java code, I want to connect to Facebook account. How do you connect to Facebook? So Java has developed already in some kind of a class, how to connect to Facebook. From the Java code, you need to connect to database. So Java has developed already reusable classes, how to connect to database. Java has to connect to a Twitter account, your Twitter account. So they build in a kind of a class called Twitter class. And so that we just create an object of the Twitter class, or you extend the Twitter class and you pass your user ID and you pass your password, it connects to your Twitter account. By connecting Twitter account, you have hundreds of messages are coming and you read them programmatically instead of you manually logging and reading your Twitter messages. I'm just giving an example, all these things. So they develop like this lot of Java classes. So what I want recommend you to people write. I type these URLs in your computer, open your browser, and or take this URLs, type it on your computer too, and explore a bookmark in your browser also. Whenever you are developing the code, referring to this documentation is a mandatory to write a code. Without having this documentation in the hand, you cannot write a Java code at all. It's very tough. You always need to understand this Java documentation, APIs, API documentation. Whenever you want to write such functionality, first we search this API documentation, what class I should be using it. You understand the class. And on top of that, you extend the class or you create object of the class, then you do the work. So I'll paste these URLs on the chart window, or you can copy it from here. And I want you to invoke in your computer also. Store it, bookmark it. So I take this URL, I'll open my browser. So you see that Java Platform Standard Edition documentation, and JDK has multiple versions, 7, 8 version, 9 version, 10 version. Like the way current is 22 is the latest release of version. Right now, previous is 21. We are targeting mainly stable version is JDK 17, where we are trying to run our examples. You can change, you can use any one of the API version. But when you are using your Java version, what version? Suppose you are using 17, then referring to JDK 17 documentation is the right approach. So whenever you want to use JDK, then click on the respective version. You get the JDKs, all the related documentation, API doc. You get a lot of information from here. Java doc guide, JSL user guide, JDK tools. You have received a lot of information here, and you can use this as a reference point. Mainly talking about specifications, API documentation. This is all the Java APIs. So Java has written so many classes for us already, and you can use them as we need it. So if you see that These are the models. Which model you are defining, we are going to use, you can focus on that model based on that. If anything I need to connect to database, I use a JDBC models. So like the way you have a lot of classes in the Java, let's refer to the JDK, like I pick up 7. Sorry, suppose I take this API documentation. Always try to open like this, it will be easy. We talked about packages. You see the packages are here. Java already defined a lot of packages. Each package can contain multiple classes. As I mentioned that a package can contain multiple classes. Java already defined multiple packages. Take a default package is java.lang. When I click the java.lang, you get all their classes, interfaces in the package. We talked about interfaces. So this java.lang package has these many interfaces and these many classes. They already defined some classes for us, developed classes for us. And you know that we read the exception. This package, all these classes can throw these many exceptions. These are the exceptions these classes can throw. And like the way these are the errors this package can throw. We're talking about java.lang. Let's go to java.io. IO means whenever you're talking with the network programming, when Java need to connect it to your smartphone. For Java programming, you want to connect it to your another computer. So you use a networking and you need to establish connections. Then you use this whenever you want to read a file from your computer using Java code. You might see that you are uploading a resume when applying for a job. You go to the file and click upload and submit, right? How it is happening whenever you want a file to be uploaded when applying for a job portal, java.io will be used. In the java.io, there is a file folder. File. See that file folder. This is a file class that they have already written for us. So think about you go to apply a job, you apply a file, upload your resume and submit. Then someone has to read that file and the web application. And in order to implement that, you need to use this file object, file class, and file input stream. File input stream means you are reading a file because your file is in the Word document and that is a word you are seeing. But when you're loading into the computer, it is not a word because you need to read it as a bytes. So you read that file as a bytes. So you read the file as a bytes. You see that read method, you read the file as a byte and you store in a database because jobs your resume will be submitting to your hiring manager. And he has to again open your resume, right? And whenever he opens, he needs to see resume like a Word document or PDF document. Use the means the person may not be doing, the programmer has developed already for the user, right? File output stream. File output stream is it converts the file from byte stream to, and the target format is a Word format or in a PDF format. So I'm explaining this to you because based on the functionality, you pick up which package you need to go. From there, you start working. If you want to do something to mathematics relationship, you need to use this math, java.math functions. And like the way there are many packages are there if you want to manipulate something like text, you want to work on the text formatting, text you want to format, use this one. Suppose you want to create a date. and you need to suppose India has a different time zone, US is different time zone. If the time in India is 6 o'clock, means what is the time in US? You need to convert from date one format to another format programmatically. What is the time in UK? You need to get this time. What is the year? This year is a leap year or not? Anything you want to manipulate with the time related objects, you need to go to java.time package. Within that, there is a lot of classes. You see the clock class, instance, local date and time, local time, month of day. These classes are there. You use these classes to build your functionality. Anything related to time related things. Like if you go to that, this is utilities. Utilities means that which are regular day-to-day needs. In our home, utilities are like electricity, gas connection, and or internet connection to the home. Or utilities means that without that, you cannot run your home utilities. So like the way Java util as a package, this is the you need these classes, whatever work you do it. These classes will help for you writing a program. Suppose you receive a zip file. You want to read a zip file. What kind of content it is programmatically? Java.util.zip. You use this zip and you want to create a zip file programmatically. And you want to deal with the zip files programmatically. So you use zip file. It creates zip file for you programmatically. Then you take this object. And out of this, you extend the zip file. You see that a constructor of the zip file. So this is a class called zip, and this class extends an object. Always in Java, everything is being extended by object. And in this class, you have a lot of fields and the constructors. You see how many constructions it has. Zip file takes a file. Zip file, it takes two parameters. Zip file, it takes a different parameter. You see that this is the parameterized constructions. So simple thing is zip file string name means open a zip file for reading. So you give a name of the file and public class, it will open for you. So like the way as you want to know which functionality you are developing the code, then first instead of you develop from the scratch writing a code, first look at what Java has written for us, how I can extend the class. Extending the class will help you. You are inheriting the code which is already written, and you top of that you can write the code however you want to do it. Let's take a deep dive into one class, java.lang. So in the java.lang, we have a lot of classes. I will take one class which you are already very familiarized. You see that string class? You are defining a public string, error message, public string name, you are defining it, right? So we take a class called string. You are already using it. String. We have in the examples, you use the public string name. You written it already in your code. So what are the things a class, a string class? Look at here. This is the documentation of the Java. This class extending the java.lang. Sorry, this class belongs to this package. This class extending object hierarchy. This class has implemented these many interfaces. So public final class string. What is the final means? Whenever you use the final to a class, whenever you use a final to a class, we talked about this final, right? You cannot change that class at all. So it is the I hope you remember the final keywords which we talked about it. So public final class string extends object and implements these many classes. And what are things are there in the class? So you might be using it string str is equal to ABC, system.out.println ABC. So here ABC is a string object, is a object of string class. So now what are things you can do in this class? Let's talk to the constructor. So default constructor, string default constructor. This class has how many constructors we have? So there are a lot of constructors are there. These are all the constructors. So to create a string object, you send the bytes, it'll create a string object. You send the characters, it'll create a string object. You give one more string, it creates a string class. So variety of constructors are there. You use it based on your need. What we are using here? String str is equal to ABC we are giving here, right? It means that we are using almost a default construct, almost like we are using this kind of constructor. String str is equal to, you are taking in a string object. And how many methods are there in this class? All methods. You see the static method, which has a string, static keywords are there. And you know the instance method. And deprecated methods means these methods are no more using it. Don't use it. If the method is deprecated, don't use in your program. Means that they are going to remove those methods very soon. So you have all the methods, and that method does the work for us. Anything. Suppose you gave a two strings. String str, string ABC is equal to, you gave a name called book. String xyz is equal to name called is equal to book. Both are holding a value called book. You want to compare two strings. So you compare it like, string equals to other string. It will return a true or false. You want to ignore the cases, capital letters, small letters. You use the equal ignore cases. So then you use this functionality in your program whenever you want to do these things. Suppose you have a string ABC is equal to book, and I want to know the first letter you start with. What is my first letter? Book, you know it already, but dynamically while writing a program, you want to know what character the first letter is. You want to read it. Then how do you know that it starts with which string, which letter it is starting? Then you can use that kind of functionality, kind of matches. You type the match. So string matches, string rejects means that you pass what kind of a pattern you want to select. If you start with B, if string ABC is a string, string ABC is equal to book is holding it. ABC dot matches string is equal to B, starts with B, then you take some action. Suppose you want to find the length of the string. What is the length? Book BOOK. How many letters? Four. Length is 4. You want to find the length of a string. Use the string length. Then he returns the method is int. Use this kind of a functionality accordingly. Like the way a string has, you see the string has a lot of classes. It has written like this. And based on the need, you need to develop your code accordingly. So here, if you see an example, string CDE is equal to CDE. You print the ABC is equal to CDE. You are print means this will print the CDE. ABC dot substring 2, 3. You're storing into C. So substring means you are cutting a string. You cut the string ABC. ABC string. You're cutting it into 2, 3. Means it starts from 2 and goes to 3. So 1, 2, 3. It reprints the back to you as a C. Means it will give it cut the string like the way you cutting it. Substring means you are subbing the substring means you are making a string shorter. You don't want any letters. Whatever letters you want, you can use it. So like the way you can use the string class, like the way you have a string buffer. String buffer is kind of in a, whenever you say buffer means you are adding it everything into one thing. Buffer always is a uh, clubbing multiple things into one unit. String buffer means it can merge the multiple strings into one string. String buffer will help you. Like the way we have a threads. If anything you want to deal with threads, thread class is there. Java class thread. Whenever you want to create a new thread, we take the thread class. Like the way there are thousands of packages has been written in Java. Whenever you're writing a code, you need to look at, based on the functionality, you need to look at which package it is available. If you get into a package, they organize the package. Within that, you can get a classes. As a given example, back to you, zip is something you want to write a program related to zip file manipulation. You go to Java util zip. Suppose you might have heard XML. If something you want to deal with XML, then you go with respect to XML related packages and work with XML. So as I mentioned to you, as a Java developer, you need to familiarize with these packages whenever you're writing the code. Most packages, important packages are java.lang. You need to understand thoroughly, and no need to go and read it by heart these things. Only get a sense of it. Don't by heart anything. No need of by hearting anything, remembering everything. You just have a feel of what it is. Java.lang is very default package. And second important thing is that Java.util packages are very important. Without these packages, you cannot write a code. Means that you can write a code, but if you want to write a very meaningful code, you need to have all these classes of understanding. Some of the classes of understanding is very important. This is what I want to give a demo about the Java API, how to use in Java programming. As we take an example in the previous example, we talked about exceptions, right? We have already talked about exception. Let's go to the exception class. Where is the exception class? If you go to java.lang, we go to the exception class. You see that exception class. We are always extending the exceptions. So java.exception extends the lang object, and it extends the throwable. And this is all their subclasses, exception classes or subclasses. Why you want to extend it? So whenever you extend the exception, you see that we are calling a super string. We are passing to this method. We are calling this constructor. And this class has a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 constructors are there. Out of 5, this is public constructor, this is public constructor, this is public, and this is public. This is a protected constructor. Whenever we made it as a protected constructor, means that only the subclass can invoke this constructor. A any other class, you cannot create an object outside of any class, invoke this constructor. Only subclass can invoke this using super keyword. But these things, there is no limit, restriction. Anything can be anything, however you want to use, you can use it. And this method has a lot of this method has only the constructor, doesn't have any methods. But where is the methods? If you go to throwable class, this throwable is the superclass of the exceptions class. So throwable has a two direct subclasses, which is the exception error. We talked about errors, and we focus more on the exception because we need to do a lot of work at the exception, not at the errors. So throwable class has defined already all the methods. So you talk about print, stack trace, and all these methods. You see how the reusability is happening here. The throwable class has a lot of methods they've written, and if you go to exception class, there is no method has been written. Only constructors are there because it is already inherited the method from the throwable. Reusability is there. If you go to error class also have a constructor. There is no methods. It says that methods inherited from throwable class. Means that we defined a one class, all the methods in throwable, and these classes doesn't have any methods because they are using it from throwable. We write a code one time and both classes are also available. Again, if you go to exception, it has a lot of subclasses here. In the subclasses, if we taken we talked about some of the exceptions like, IO exceptions. IO is a checked exception. So this also inherit the lot of classes, lot of methods from the throwable. Means that if you see the hierarchy chain, IO exception is inherited from exception, exception inherited from throwable. Means that what are the methods has written in the throwable class, all are available in the IO exception class. This is how the inheritance is working. And reachability of the code. We wrote a code only one time in this class. Every class is able to access it. This is called the object-oriented principle, the inheritance, and will help you to do a reusability, reuse the code. Write once, use multiple times. So if you see the whole hierarchy here, in this exception class, all the methods are available here. All are available to all these classes. So this is about the Java API, how you need to use it. Uh, I want to present this to you so that you as a developer, whenever you're writing a code, this is very much important to have an experience understanding about the Java API.